We're your besties in your back pocket.
And this is your business banter by the basin.
Georgie boy, let's talk about scaling and the 30-20-10 rule.
Oh, this is where Shani comes in.
This is where Shani...
I do have some notes for this, though.
Okay, let me have a look at your notes.
Because this was something I was talking about with... This is somewhat relevant because I was talking about this with a friend of mine who is also a hairdresser, who's only just opened his first salon.
Okay,
And we'll talk about something like this, but you go.
All right, so this is actually a super important topic. Going to caveat by saying it could get a little dry and a little boring because it is very much left brain. It's very, very technical.
And that's exactly where I come in. So if I just start dancing...
George is going to keep the
energy.
The energy alive.
Energy.
But I do want to say for everybody listening...
We need help.
You need help.
Yeah, it does.
Mona.
Don't bring her into it. I just moved. We're having some tech issues today.
So it's going to be a really dry topic, and we're going to keep this one short because it's going to be dry, but I really want people to listen because this is how you actually scale a business.
And I'm going to come in with the analogies for the people who aren't left-brained.
Yeah.
Because this is the only way that's going to make sense to me.
Yeah.
So let's go.
So
great.
Let's continue.
Let's go.
So the concept is called unit economics, and there's lots of gurus out there that'll tell you that they can scale your business. And there's lots of different ways to scale a business, but no business is going to scale unless their numbers are at the 30, 20, 10, right? Mm-hmm. So if you go sign up with a guru who tells you that they're going to help you scale your business, make more sales, create more leads, all of that stuff's great, but your business actually won't scale if the numbers are not at 30, 20, 10.
Run me through that.
Yeah. So in your business, you need to have a minimum 30% gross profit. Mm-hmm. You need to have under 20...
I do my numbers off the top of my head at the same time. Go.
Well, I would go run them.
Yeah,
I would go run them. And actually talk to me once you've run them because it'd be interesting to know where right? Because the numbers don't lie, and then the numbers tell you where the holes are that you need to fill, right? You need to have under 20% or under what's called SG&A, which is basically your back office admin costs.
That sounds like an STD.
Right. Now, S stands...
I've got SDNA.
Right, but the S is for sales, and the sales, you have to earn your back office. So meaning that people go hire staff, they go get admin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But your sales actually have to support the back end or the back office.
And I think that's probably that's a big varying factor between businesses. Because
Correct.
My back office probably wouldn't be as big as yours, for example.
No, but every business, no matter the type, needs to be under 20%. And then some businesses will be like at 2%. And then
Yeah.
Right. And then you need to have a net profit of a minimum 10%, but obviously the higher the better, right? Because then you've got more cash flow, more profit. Right, so people keep going and signing up to grow their business with the next guru, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. And you could have learnt some great stuff about sales, lead generation, marketing, all of that stuff, employing, hiring, recruitment, as discussed in the previous ep. However, in order for your business to scale, and by the way, scaling means it grows and you're either making the same amount of money in revenue or more without requiring more time input from you.
Yeah.
Right? And basically you're running at a profit. Every business needs to run at a profit. And so it doesn't matter how much new stuff you go and learn, if your numbers don't match the unit economics of 30, 20, 10, your business is just never going to scale.
100%. And I think as well, I mean, speaking of no matter how much you learn, that's relevant in my industry because it's all about education. I mean, as a hairdresser, we have to be educated all the time. When I know a lot of people who do one of two things. They spend all of this money. Actually, you know what? No, better story. I'm going to talk about that friend of mine that I was talking to because it kind of ties into that. He's gone and opened a luxury salon, right? And I said to him, when you open it, it's a lot of expenses. A luxury salon requires a lot of expenses because what makes it luxurious is the service and the experience you provide. Now, having a backyard like this and having a courtyard over there and having a space that is as big as this doesn't come for free. It certainly doesn't come for very cheap.
And not in Balmain either.
And certainly not in Balmain with a view of the Harbour Bridge. Thank you very much.
Correct.
Now, that on top of the fact that I have like 16 different coffee options, 8 7 or 8 different tea options. 3.
None of which require milk.
No, some of them can.
Some of the sorry, but none.
Oh no, the wine doesn't require
The
milk. We
wine.
have 2 wine options that don't require milk. We have one wine option that does require milk.
And if you're wondering what we're referring to, listen to the previous episode because that's where we spoke about it in recruitment, and George's staff member that offered his customers milk with their wine. But
I don't even want to touch on it again. I nearly started crying after talking about it before. It's really tough for me. It's really tough. Think about all the money I spent on that. Anyway, so I said there is a lot of expenses that come along with
said pet, I said dull, I said love.
Where did that come from?
Because you just said, I said, and then in my brain.
Where did that come from?
It's from a TV show. Tony will know, but you're probably a bit too young. But what was the TV show? Remember? I said pet, I said dull, I said love. The show from the UK with the blonde, absolutely fabulous or whatever.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love those 2 women. You know what? I take that back. I may be young, but I do know that show. Absolutely. I was actually thinking about that the other day.
Yeah. Hey, we're making the 30-20-10 rule fun. Anyway, so go.
See, that's how we do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, it's very expensive to have a high-end luxury salon. I go, but the reality is, if you have a luxury salon, you charge luxury prices.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, really? Like, what do you mean? And I was like, this, and this. Anyway. About 3 or 4 weeks into having his salon, he calls me, and we're just kind of catching up, whatever, and he's like, you weren't wrong about how expensive it is. And I go, yeah. I go, you don't realise, because, okay, I don't charge someone for a coffee, right? My thing is, if you're coming into the salon, I'm doing your hair, it's a complimentary service, I build it into the price. It's built into all my prices,
Right, I was going to say it should be built into the price.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, so, and
hang on a minute, so if I don't have a coffee, I'm being charged for it, I'm gonna have 3 coffees from now on.
That's why I don't offer you coffee, because that extra charge is for the emotional turmoil.
We need you, Mona.
It's the emotional turmoil that I have to charge for.
Yeah.
So it's that. But yeah, so he didn't realize, and we were talking about it, he's like, I didn't realize, just don't even worry about it. Like, just let it happen. Just, if it eats you.
This will be the last time I do business banter by the bush. Now, again, for those who are not watching on YouTube, you missed out on the fact that there are bugs everywhere. And I can't deal.
30-20-10.
30-20-10.
But yeah, anyway.
Anyway, so this guy has an epiphany that all of a sudden going into business costs money, and then what happens?
No, because going into a very specific niche in our industry costs a lot more money than he realized. And the prices that he was charging when he had a much smaller space, he didn't provide all the extra services or the extra experience stuff, he wasn't charging the right amount. And we were talking through how do you have the conversation having the conversation with clients about an increase in pricing to be able to match a certain level of experience.
You go, hey, you know how you've come here for a luxury service? Well, the price has to match, and we've just increased it by 123%.
So here's the fun part. That is exactly what I said to him. I'm like, do you know when a client asks me, oh, the price has changed? Yeah. Yes, it has. I changed my pricing recently. We charge hourly now for certain services because they just took so long. Because I was saying to clients, I was like, yeah, the last 3 times I did your hair before I worked out where we were going wrong because there was a hole in our 30-20-10. Let me tell you that much. Mm-hmm. So when you got a staff member spending 6 hours on a client and you're making 3-hour money, I'm like, hold on, that's not a hole. That's a crevasse, So you have to reel it in, and so and I've had to say to clients before, and this is what he had to say to his clients. I've done your hair a few times now, and I've charged you way under what I should be. It's costing me money, right?
Sorry, Shirley, but I can't afford for you to get your hair done.
Well, exactly. Anyway, and then you have to tell Shalise that you can't. You're not doing her hair for.
And then Shazza at the back loses it.
You're not doing her hair for $5 anymore. And it's like, well, anyway, and and for the most part, it's fine. But you do get the people where they're like shocked and appalled by it. It kamikazed off the wall. So I'm just keeping an eye on it.
The lizard.
I'm just keeping an eye on it.
Now there's a lizard.
Fully jumped off the wall.
Jeez. Oh my God.
It gives it interesting, guys. Remember this dry topic we were talking about? This is how dry it is. We're freaking out.
This is a classic ADHD. But listen, I'll tell you something, and I'll tell you something important. I've grown a 7-figure business from zero with no investors, no loans, and no credit cards. Every single thing that I have done has run off profit and cash.
Can I show what I'm profiting on right now? There's a tree in my drink.
Okay, great. I think you've ruined the moment because that's actually a big deal, babe.
I haven't ruined the moment.
And get this, by the way, we operate in high volume. Like, every financial year, the last few financial years, I've spent over $250,000 in cash on being mentored myself. Not to mention we run ads to the tune of 7 figures. Not to mention we put on.
Do you do all those on social media?
The ads?
Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Not to mention we put on in-person events, so we have room hire, staff, all around the world, travel, right? Like, I really want you to get how big of a deal it is that clearly my unit economics are tight to be able to grow and run an entire business with no investors, no loans, no cards. You've got to dial your numbers in.
And I think that's what people don't realize as well. That it's definitely possible without all the
That's right.
all the extra stuff. But it's like, I can get a business loan in online without having to talk to anyone and have a $65,000 loan.
And then go waste that money on professional photography and crap that nobody cares about. Like, just go make sales. But so here's what I want everybody to do now that you've listened to this episode. I want you to go speak to your accountant, get them to run your P&L and your cash balance sheet. But when you ask for your P&L, make sure you ask them also to put the numbers at the bottom in percentages. So tell them that you want to know in a percentage, what is my gross profit, what is my back office admin costs, and as a percentage, and what is my net profit. And have a look at your numbers, and it'll tell you where you're off and what you need to work on. And of course, if you don't know how to read it, then you should just come to one of my events, sign up to be coached by me, and then everything's going to be fine.
And that's how you become a seven-figure business.
And that's how you monetize the podcast.
And that's how we make sales, ladies and gentlemen. Bring it back to recruiting.
The end.
And Shani, where can they find you?
Insta or Facebook at Shani Taylor Official with the blue tick. And what about you?
You can find me on Instagram at GeorgeMatar Official, that's MATTAR, and you can find all our other links in the show notes.